good. Okay, that's even better. Okay, so, I want to start out by acknowledging that you guys probably, I'm guessing, I bet $10 that Mr. C and Mrs. Corianos already have talked about plot this year, and that's great. Yeah. But we're going to talk about it in a creative writing way. Okay, so I'm going to tell you some stuff you haven't heard before. I'm also going to teach you some fancy tricks that Mr. C and Mrs. Corianos will be like, what? How do you even know that? So go ahead and show me your screens, everybody. Screens 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, we made it just in the nick of time. So when you hear plot, it just means story. Plot, story, story, plot. Plot, story, story, plot. Same exact thing. It's just a fancy way of saying story. And when we talk about plot, we're talking about all of the events in a story. And we know it. You can say them with me if you want. Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Yeah, so, and you'll see those are over on our word wall over there now. It makes sense that we have to talk about plot in creative writing, because if you don't understand plot, like, it makes creative writing so much harder, right? So, there's a couple of things, though, that I want to just make sure everyone kind of, like, realizes. First of all, remember, plot just means what? Plot means story, yeah. But there's some fancy synonyms for plot. So next time you're in Mr. C's class, or Mrs. Corianos' class, and they say something about plot, somebody can raise their hand dramatically and say, excuse me, Mr. C, do you mean Freytag's pyramid? And then his brain will explode, because like no sixth graders ever know that synonym, because it's very fancy. It means the same thing. Plot, Freytag's pyramid. Freytag was this really old guy who he came up with the idea of plot. So say it, Freytag's pyramid. Freytag's pyramid. Or if you want to impress them, if you can't remember Freytag's pyramid, you can be like, excuse me, Mrs. Corianos, do you mean the narrative arc? And then she'll be like, what? Because that's, most kids don't know that synonym. Plotline, or plotline, narrative arc, Freytag's pyramid, all of those. Say narrative arc, yep. So one of the things that I want to just make it really clear, the cool thing about the plot is you almost think about it like a little math equation. Because if you have writer's block, and guys, you will get writer's block in my class. You'll be writing, and then you're like, my brain just turned off. What do I do? That's going to happen to you, and it's okay. And so that's where then you think about the plot. Because if I get stuck, I know that exposition plus rising action plus climax plus falling action plus resolution, all those together equal a story. And so that's how to get unstuck. And another really important thing to think about is this second sentence. A really good plot, a really good story has a good conflict. If you don't have a problem in your story, that's what makes it hard to make stories longer. So as soon as you get stuck while you're writing a story, introduce an unexpected problem. Like, have a dinosaur crash into your story and start eating people. Or have, like, I don't know, like any crazy thing. Have someone come in with, like, a marshmallow shooter and just start, like, shooting people with marshmallows, right? It doesn't matter what. But as soon as you introduce more problems in a story, that's where stories come from, is conflict. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, Paris, is you truly can, obviously, make it up as you go along. So I'm going to give you a really quick example. I'm going to make it up right here, on the spot. Ready? Here we go. Eyes up here. COVID. Okay, so we have exposition. Who and what? So I could be like, zombie, monkeys, Sandy, Utah. That's exposition. Boom. Okay? Rising action. You have to start building the conflict. I have to introduce that problem and start making it crazy. So, rising action, zombie, monkeys, attacking people in Sandy, Utah. Okay? Climax. This is the craziest part of the story. The part that feels like the point of no return. Like, how on earth can this story even end? Like, this is so crazy right now. So, for example, maybe the zombie monkeys have started, like, eating people's faces. And, like, you're like, how can this not, that story, that's impossible to fix that. And then you have the falling action. We start resolving the conflict, but it's not finished yet. So in my story, okay, the National Guard gets deployed. And they start rounding up the zombie monkeys, but the story's not over yet because I need the resolution. This is where things are finally fixed so the story can end. So maybe in mine, like, a crazy cool scientist creates a certain shot that when you get the shot, your face grows back. I don't know. It's creative writing. You can make it up, right? And so that's what I mean. You can straight up just make up plot. I want to show you one quick thing. I hardly ever use the whiteboard, but I'm going to use the whiteboard really quick here. One of the like important lessons when it comes to plot, listen guys, is we all know a plot normally looks like that, right? It kind of looks like a little mountain, or Freytag's pyramid, or the narrative arc, right? But just because it normally looks like this, guys, just because it normally looks like this is a rule that's meant to be broken, you guys, straight up, 100%. In creative writing, we think outside the box. We try and twist the boundaries of what is. And so just because most people do it like this, doesn't mean that I can't do something else that's cool and creative. For example, one time I read a story that had exposition, the longest rising action ever, three climaxes, and then falling action and resolution. There's no rule against that. You can play with the plot however you want. Another thing that most kids your age haven't been taught, and I'm almost done with this lesson, is how different cultures will do different cool things with plot. So for example, in some, not all, but in some African stories, you'll have exposition, rising action, climax, and it stops right there. It's a cliffhanger, Coleman. And that's genius, because when you stop at the climax, it makes people want to come back for more. What if there's a part 2, right? In some, but not all, Hispanic stories, that you'll get what's called, this is a very fancy word, ready for this? It's called episodic plotline. On the board, I'm drawing this thing that looks like almost like a heartbeat, right? And episodic plot is, in Hispanic, some, not all, it's called a telenovela, which is like a soap opera. And each little plot is a story all on its own. But when I put it back in, it matches the rest of the overall story. So guys, think of the last TV series you watched. It's an episodic plot line. Say that, episodic. Episodic. Because each episode, episodic, right, is its own little story, but all together, it's like a whole series of a TV, right? And so I really encourage you to think of yourself as a mad scientist in creative writing. You can't do it wrong, right? You get to make it up and have your own ideas that maybe no one has ever seen before. And I think that's cool. And so to kind of just solidify this, just like always, I've got two quick examples for you. I had a girl 3 years ago. She wrote this as an example, so I'll read it to you. This was her plot line. She said, exposition, we meet Mrs. Coates. Rising action, we learn all about how this class works and we start all the fun projects. Climax, we do all the awesome projects. Falling action, we start wrapping up the quarter, sad face. And then resolution, no, we have to leave Mrs. Coates' class. So that's an example. I have one more example for you. There's a dragon chicken in this example. Yes, I said dragon chicken, people. So keep your screens facing me. I'll let you know when you can do your U-Try box. But let's just get this stuck in our brain for forever.
If you're going to Plot Mountain, you gotta start somewhere. We'll call this the introduction.
Or
Guess
exposition.
what happens there? You
Who
describe
and
the
where.
characters and the settings. That's the who, what, when, and where. The characters are the people that are there. What do they look like? Why should we care? And the setting
Exposition,
is
who and where.
the place where they be. What exactly do the characters see on their way to Plot Mountain?
Okay, here comes the problem.
At
Rising
the start
action.
of Plot Mountain, you're gonna have to go up. We call this the rising action, and here starts the plot. There's a conflict in the story. You should describe exactly what. A character has a problem to work through with themselves or the world. What should they do? Or maybe there's some big arguments or some dramatic natural events on the way up Plot
Now we have a
Mountain.
problem. Now we have a story. Now it's gonna get crazy. Climax.
Keep going up Plot Mountain until you reach the top. We call this the climax, and here you cannot stop. You must face the biggest problem that leads to a turning point. Here the story is the most
Dragon
intense
chicken!
with emotions, drama, and suspense. But action like this cannot stay. The story must change and go a different way on the top of Cloud Mountain.
Remember, climax should feel like the point of no return. Like, how on earth can we fix this if there was a magical dragon chicken? I don't know. It seems crazy.
After the top of Cloud Mountain,
Falling
you're gonna
action.
start to go down. We call this the falling action, and it lasts
Start
until
fixing
flat
the
ground.
problem.
There's still action in the story, but it will start to slow down. So the worst is over, yeah, the worst is.
I really love the logic of this part of, like, falling action. Why is there a shark in a river? That makes no sense, but it's fun.
Through,
Oh, well.
but now what will the characters do? There are still some problems. How long will they last? And don't forget the ending's
no.
coming fast on the way down Cloud Mountain.
No, he's okay. He's okay.
After climbing down Cloud Mountain, well, it's gotta end somewhere. We call this the resolution.
Now, I'm going to teach you another fancy synonym. There's never going to be a test on this. I don't expect that you can remember this. But if you want to see, like, Mr. C's brain melt because he was shocked out of his mind and then his brain, like, starts leaking out of his nose. Just kidding. This is the fanciest synonym of all time. It's French, but it's such a popular, like, idea that we've adopted it into English. It's called denouement. Try and say that. Denouement. So next time he talks about resolution, someone say, "Excuse me, Mr. C. Do you mean the denouement?" And then you can all, like, help him mop up his brains. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Denouement, resolution.
And what will happen there? You should answer all the questions until you are aware that the conflicts in the story from before aren't there anymore. Unless there's gonna be a sequel or a part 2, and then you'll have to think, what will the characters do the next time on Cloud Mountain?
So you don't have to fix all of the problems. Okay, everybody, so for your You Try box, tell me anything that proves to me you understand plot. You could give me an example of a climax. You could, like, go look up an example of a plot line and put a picture in there. Anything that shows me you understand plot. Yeah, Nathan, what was your question?
Wait, can I say what makes the story
Sure.
the story?
Sure, yeah. Remember, don't give me the definition and give me an example.
Could I say something like the climax is when Frederick's pet guinea pig escaped and started destroying the city, and the FBI had to invent a time machine to go back and stop him before he did that.
I would read that story. Yes, 100%. Nathan's got an example if you're stuck.
The pig penguin?
Tate. No, that's Nathan. That was Tate. Yeah, now Nathan. Okay.
The pig penguin eating people so he can stay alive and don't die in the winter.
So what part of the plot is that an example of?
The climax.
Exactly. And now in my teacher brain, I'm like, yeah, Nathan gets it. Tate gave me an example too. That was awesome. Anybody else have an example that proves that you understand plot? Okay, Grant. Nope, that was exposition. Yeah, you said resolution. So you, like, just, yeah. So the who and the what and the where is exposition. Yeah, there you go. And that totally, except the only downside of yours, Grant, see how the You Try box says, give me an example that's not already on the vocab chart? On yours, it's actually in examples already. It says exposition, who and where. So, Grant, you could just change yours, and you could be like, exposition, zombie monkey, Sandy, Utah. And then that would totally work. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's